Very happy Easter to you. I hope you had a wonderful weekend, a wonderful day yesterday. We continue our in-depth conversation of all the important things: beauty, art, literature, the Gospels, with Andrew Klavan, host of the Andrew Klavan Show and author of the great Cameron Winter series of thriller books, the latest one right over Andrew's shoulder there, Strange Habit of Mind. We're really talking about, I'm thinking, I'm trying to encapsulate all of these topics we're hitting. This is man's yearning for truth, right? That's what we constantly are yearning for, and looking for and trying to seek out. And many of us find that truth in the Gospels. But as you said, this is a journey. It's not like you're baptized and that's over. You continue that edification. You continue building on it. I think Protestants refer to it as sanctification. We Catholics just call it, every day of our lives. I'm curious. I mean, other than Scripture, what do you read? What do you listen to? Do you have favorite podcasts or films or TV shows? A lot of people are being edified by The Chosen. Where do you go to continue to enrich your life?
Well, to be honest, and I hate to sound like this because I know it puts people off, but I still love the classics. I still go back to Shakespeare all the time. He's like just the best. But I like detective stories too, and I like thrillers and that sort of thing. What it comes down to, I love stories. I love stories of all kinds. And my favorite kinds of stories, although I've read all kinds of stories, my favorite kinds of stories are stories that are strongly plotted but have really deep insights into character. I don't like stories that just meander. I don't like things that just are, kind of give you a slice of life. I'll read them if they're great, but mostly what I like things that really move. I mean, if you can write Hamlet and have people duel and stab each other and have affairs and all that, and still deliver some great wisdom, I'm there for you, and I will do it on a detective story or anything else.
I'm curious.
I also like nonfiction and history and all that stuff.
Are you a Tolkien guy though? Because I mean, the way you just described Shakespeare, and I love Shakespeare too, but it's like Tolkien. If you just want a story with wizards and sword fights and elves and dwarves and magic, you got it, and it's great, probably the best ever written. But I've read it 3 times now, Lord of the Rings, and every single time I get a deeper, abiding faith in God when I read it, and humanity at the same time.
I've never been, it's funny, when I look back and I look at the things I've read a lot of fantasy and science fiction, but it's not the first thing I turn to. And I'm not sure why. It may just be a personal thing. The minute a guy walks on screen and his name is like Aldor, I just think, I don't know. It's like Aldor. What the hell kind of name is that?
That's fair. That's fair.
So I loved the Lord of the Rings movies, but it took me 3 tries to get through Lord of the Rings because they would have these long, like 50-page council scenes about countries that didn't exist,
Yeah.
And I would think I don't know. I'd rather read about things that do exist. But that's just personal taste. I do understand the guy is a genius. I mean, I can see that he's a genius. And not every book is for every person. I mean, I can understand that Moby Dick is a work of genius. I can't stand it. I've read it 3 times. I cannot understand my friend Ben Shapiro loves that book.
Yeah.
I just don't get it.
That's what I was just about to say, because that's like Shapiro's top 3, I think. That's funny. Your son, Spencer Klavan, which I believe is, if I'm wrong, no relation, right?
We've never met, yeah.
His book, How to Save the West, I think touches on a lot of these themes too. I know you won't say it out loud, but you got to be proud. I mean, honestly, of your kid stepping up with a book like this.
As long as it's just between you and me, no, I think he is a spectacular creation of his mother, and I think that he was obviously, it was having a kid like that is like having a kid who throws a 90-mile-an-hour fastball when he's 5 years old. It was very quickly we thought this guy's got a big machine in his head, and he has used it spectacularly. He was an undergrad at Yale and a doctorate at Oxford just before those colleges collapsed into woke nonsense. He said it was like jumping from one ice floe to another as the ice floe sank behind him. But he has used that to good effect. I think that it's interesting that a guy like him, you'd think that he would be a professor somewhere or have some kind of institution grab hold of him. And the Claremont think tank has got hold of him.
Yeah.
But really what he's doing is he's using the new technology to build his own standing. And I think that's the right thing to do in a moment, this transitional moment when our institutions have been emptied out and degraded. I think he is doing a wonderful thing by building his own kind of bulwark, his own little outpost of the culture.
my children are spectacularly successful, and I try my best not to be proud, because I have a philosophy that is, if you take pride and try to take credit for the successes of your children, then if one of them ends up being a dirtbag, you got to take the responsibility for that, right? And I refuse
I never
to
thought
do
of
either.
that. I actually just want to take I just want to take credit and
Right.
hopefully have them support me in my old age. That's my goal. Yeah.
We've had Spencer on to talk about his book, and he's a spectacular interview as well. Could you please do me a favor, though? Please convince him not even to think about going into radio, because his voice is phenomenal, and
This is
I don't need that in my life.
I have three brothers, and when my father was alive, we all sound exactly the same. You cannot tell which one of us is talking on the phone. In fact, he recorded an answering message in my house once, and I called it up, and I thought, who is that? You know, it's like I don't think it's. I'm not sure it's me, but it's.
That is great. Are you? I'm curious. As you're mentioning Ben Shapiro and your work with Daily Wire. Doing incredible work at Daily Wire, and we're huge fans of everything being done over there. But lately there have been there's always criticisms of what you do because of what you believe and how well you and your colleagues at Daily Wire articulate your beliefs. Matt Walsh and Michael Knowles have become real lightning rods, though, and they're targeted. You've been through it. I know Ben's been through it, but it's never easy. In the long run, though, when they try to attack individuals or attack organizations, do you think in the long run it actually ends up just drawing more attention to the great work you're doing? Because I think people click and they say, oh, these guys must be monsters, and they actually find out they're really good at what they do.
You know, it's funny. A couple of people, famous people who I won't name, but a couple of people have had almost conversion experiences coming to the Daily Wire and finding out what a happy shop it is and how decent the people are and how generous they are when they were expecting to meet a bunch of Nazis. You know, it's an interesting thing. First of all, it doesn't work if the people in charge don't back you. If it weren't for Jeremy Boring, who has really built this thing, it's really a creature of his mind and his creativity. I'm not taking anything away from Ben or anybody else, but Jeremy is really the guy behind it all. If I didn't know that when the arrows and the darts start coming my way, that Jeremy was going to shrug it off and say, you know, as long as you're not actually hateful, as long as you're speaking the truth and doing your best, I'm going to back you. That's what makes it all work, as far as I'm concerned. And I think that you know, it's difficult because right in this moment, we're dealing from different premises. Our premise is that there's such a thing as reality, that it's not a creation of the patriarchy. It's not just a power relationship. It's something that grows naturally out of the human experience. That's our premise. Their premise is that no, everything has been wrong now. It's just the powerful abusing the powerless, and therefore we have to rewrite all of the whole moral playbook. And so those two premises can't come together. There is no ground for compromise. And so what they do is they try to demonize us, and they try to say we're hateful. And what we try to do is just explain where it is we're coming from. And you know, it is difficult because look, you know, I don't hate transgender people. I just know that they haven't changed sex, because sex is a physical fact. So what's important to me is the truth. And if you are somebody who is uncomfortable in your body, I feel for you. I actually do. I imagine that's a terribly painful thing.
Yeah.
But the whole world doesn't have to be rewritten to ease your pain. And certainly when you rewrite the truth into something else, people get very, very badly hurt.
All right, more to come on this special Easter edition with Andrew Klavan. Keep it here.